recording. So, welcome.
All right.
You can tell we do this a lot. So, we thought we would do this ahead of the album launch on, what is it, 10th of July?
Mm-hmm.
To talk a little bit about Richard Hollis's new album, or first album, in fact, on streaming, Nostalgia's Youth. So we thought we'd give you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes info, if you're a fan of any of the songs, or just like the album-making process, I guess. So, Hollis, I'll go straight to you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your music background then?
Yeah, no, I've been playing the guitar since I was about 16 when my dad started playing. He's a little bit better than me. I'll probably put that in there. And yeah, it's just in the house. I kind of picked it up. So I've been writing since I was 16. Not really done much of any of those songs because they're not very good. Let's put it that way. But yeah, as you kind of get older, just join originals bands. They, as they do, fall apart because you're 21 and stupid, and it's just cool when everyone clashes and it's all that type of thing. And yeah, I've been in a covers band ever since. So this is basically just a bit of fun. That's kind of what songwriting is, really. It's just a bit of fun for yourself, and if people like it, fantastic. But it's really just for you, I'd say.
Me directly.
So yeah, just for you. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know, obviously, I've known you a long time. If you're watching this, you might not know us. But yeah, we've known each other for a long time. We've worked together in the past, haven't we? So I know you've written a lot of your own songs and recorded a lot. I think, did you say on your phone like quite a few years ago, or on some app, and then that all got deleted? So, but luckily you've kept them all in your back pocket, ready for now.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a bit of a getting all the equipment, like you turn me on to Cakewalk and stuff like that. Is there just thinking, again, it's a bit of a project, isn't it? It's a bit of fun, and I keep going on, and obviously linking into a bit of an introduction to the album and stuff. It was kind of just going to be, I'll record some songs myself and whatever else, which I did, and I put I think there's about 11 out there, which is a bit of a story of my life type thing. Just again, a bit of fun. I think you worked on one of them, but obviously we're a bit busy and couldn't invest in it. And then obviously these ones, just have a bit of fun with these. And then obviously you played around on one of them, and it sounded quite good. And obviously I had a bit more time, so it kind of naturally made it more of a collaborative process rather than me just doing it on my own and thinking, "Oh, sod it, I'll put it out there on YouTube and that'll be it."
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure we'll touch on it again, but it's definitely become, as we've gone through this album and then, with future plans, like quite a collaborative process, hasn't it? Obviously, you're the key songwriter, all the lyrics are yours, and guitar and vocals, obviously. But it's been really nice to kind of come on board, initially with bass and then synthing around and kind of, I suppose, for want of a better term, producing it to some extent. So yeah, that's been really good. So yeah, on my side, I always wanted to play an instrument. And then one day, I was probably about 15, and I thought, there's no point just wanting to play an instrument. I actually need to pick one up. So I bought a guitar, started to learn a little bit. And then when I went to uni, again, just as you say, like a little bit of fun, sort of got together in a band, very silly band. We had some good laughs, but they didn't need a guitarist. So I said, I'll go on bass. And I've got a guitar, I've got a couple of guitars, but yeah, my animal, if you like, is the bass these days. So I really enjoy that. So I was in my uni band, sort of on and off for a few years, and then to be honest, after that, the music side just died down a lot. I've got a 10-year-old kid now, so life takes over, and it was only sort of maybe 3 or 4 years ago I just started getting back into it a little bit, just something to do, really. And then I started up another band with one of my ex-bandmates, Sullen Heart. Shout out to Sullen Heart with Steve. I've got to get that in there. So we recorded our album. We've been doing some stuff musically, although he's quite busy at the minute, so not much recently. And then, like you say, then you kind of approached me and said, I might have approached you, I can't remember. But one of us said, we could stick some bass on this, see how it sounds. And like you say, it's gone from there, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. Like initially just, that's right. Like I said, when we get into it, it's just one track, that sounds quite good. And obviously time is allowed us to both kind of get involved in it a little bit more. Probably take a bit more time over it than I know I did in the first lot I put out. I'm not a patient person. I think, oh, that will do, and I kind of just think solid, which I kind of did with a lot, and I kind of regret it a little bit, but it was what it was. So at least with these, it's because it's more collaborative. You're a bit more what's the word? I don't know, not responsible, but I don't know, accountable. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a bit back and forth as well. So, oh, I like this, I don't like this, let's do that, as opposed to, well, I've got this, oh, that's all right. So that's been quite nice about this.
Yeah, when you do your own, so I've done a bit of my own stuff. I don't enjoy it half as much as work with someone else because you're kind of in your own echo chamber. You've got no one to bounce off. And for some people, obviously, the Ed Sheerans of the world, that works really well. But I think it's nice, like you say, to bounce ideas and hold yourself accountable. And then, not often, but sometimes you might think, or I might think something sounds amazing, and the other person will say, "Oh, I'm not really sure about that." And that's a good process because if everything you do, you just go, "Oh yeah, that'll do," then it'll sound all right, but it'll never sound probably as good as it could do with other ears, I think. So yeah. So did you want to tell us about Nostalgia's Youth then? Obviously that's the name of the album. So where did that collection of songs come from? And why did you settle on the name Nostalgia's Youth?
Well, I suppose we bounced it around a bit of what the
Yeah.
theme of the album kind of sounded like, and a lot of them kind of touched on themes of nostalgia, didn't they, really, and kind of looking back. So I think realistically, it's just those songs have been there for the first one about maybe 4 years ago, something like that, and they're kind of all on the same thing. And it's just really about, you know, in life, you get to a certain stage, you keep working up, and you know, all of a sudden you've got everything you really want, and you're really, really happy. And you're like, oh, now what? So that's kind of what's back. So you naturally, you know, you're really happy, start reflecting and looking back and be a bit wistful about, you know, old times and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that we'll touch on the song later, but that kind of shapes at least the first half of this album anyway. So it kind of ends up being not musically a concept, but lyrically it's definitely a concept, I think, and it all kind of mirrors the same ideas of looking back. So I think that it kind of just tied in well. That was going to be the lead song anyway. The title of it summarizes everything as well. So I think it kind of tied itself in to that. So a lot of the songs, particularly the first half, are looking back and overthinking all that type of stuff, and then it changes as the album progresses.
Definitely. Yeah, I think you're quite keen on having that, like you say, lyrically as a bit of a concept album. And that made it at times a challenge, I suppose, to when we were thinking about, right, we've got all the songs down, what's the order? So I'm listening more from a musical, how they all kind of fit together perspective, and you're coming more from lyrically where they fit chronologically. So it took us a little while, didn't it, to iron it out as to the kind of exact order. But I think we got there in the end. I think we're quite happy with like the order of the songs, and we tried not to have too many songs that sounded too samey in a row, and I think it balanced quite well in the end.
Yeah, it's not the easiest to do that on reflection, because you know there's parts where neither of us are a drummer, so you know that part.
There is that, yeah.
That's a challenge. Like, okay, how do you make songs sound different when it's a similar drum beat all the way through and stuff like that, which is which is different. So it's hard to then break it up. But certain songs that maybe musically might have fitted, all that could be better later. Narratively, it wouldn't work. And for this album anyway, in particular, that has to kind of work. So yeah, that took a bit longer than I think, oh, okay, that's what I think, yada yada yada. But oh, actually no, this needs to be in this order, so it kind of ties in. But yeah, you don't want it to sound, oh, those songs are really good narratively, they free them from the other one, but then they are not samey, but they might have similarities to them. So yeah, that took longer than I probably anticipated. I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can't remember the exact statistic. I'm terrible with remembering exact things that I read, but it's something like a lot of musicians do that, 80% in a short amount of time, and it's that final 20%, say, that takes the time to iron out any slight mistakes that you might hear, or think about the order and all of those kind of things to get it exactly kind of where you want it to be. Whereas like the initial writing the lyrics, I suppose if you're in the flow, it can be quite easy once you're going, or if you've got them in your back pocket. And like for me, laying down the bass once I've heard the song a couple of times normally comes quite naturally. But then it's putting all the finer details on it, isn't it? That takes the longer part of the time, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. I think when I've recorded them, certain songs would be done within an hour, maybe. Like I don't find I'm quite a quick worker that way, but then it is okay, right, let's just do this for that bit, that for that bit. And yeah, it is when you put it out somewhere, you are a bit more precious, I suppose, over it and making sure everything sounds right, or if you could do something better or whatever, which yeah, that's what I've kind of learned going through this anyway, taking a little bit more time, which is good really. Like I've got all the time in the world, so there's no reason to do it. It's got to be, done.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, collaboratively, I bet this can't really think when we kind of started it. Probably the best part, maybe 6 months might be fair, maybe less, maybe more.
Yeah, I was trying to think that as well. I think maybe there was one that I had to go at maybe November, December last year. And then there was a bit of a hiatus, life takes over again, particularly around Christmas, doesn't it? And then I think really from January onwards. So yeah, good like 6 month process, I'd say. But yeah. So in terms of the songwriting process then, you'd written all of them before. Were there any new ones that you penned, or was it all ones that you'd written sort of mainly sort of 4 years ago or so?
Yeah, no, I think there's a few in there that were from about 2022, and then there's a few that were maybe from last year. The main kind of bulk of it was probably maybe 2024, I guess. I think because I don't write half as much as I used to, just because I've got the equipment. I'm like, well, I've got all these songs now. I'd rather just record them rather than write. So, and yeah, it just happened the way that it worked out that a lot of them are about the same kind of theme, and it kind of ties together. That I was like, well, let's just focus on doing these. So yeah, they were quite easy to just do. There's other things like I know guitar solos and maybe trying to make the song more interesting takes longer, as opposed to, well, I know what the lyrics are, I know how to sing it, I know what the chords are, I roughly know where I want the drums to be. That's pretty straightforward. But actually going, okay, I need to do a guitar solo that's a bit different from somewhere else, or do I do this triad, or do this lick, or whatever else I put over it. That might take a bit longer, but yeah, they've been ready to go for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. And just for anyone that's interested, or maybe makes their own music or wants to. So in terms of the process, we think maybe we've had one or two jams together, or literally physically been in the same room. But 95% of the album, I'd say, is sort of remotely, isn't it? So Rich obviously has done all the lyrics, so he'll lay down the initial track, sing everything, and then send that over to me. So we use like a OneDrive kind of thing, so we can share files. Then I'll get that and open it in Cakewalk on my side, have a listen through, iron out if there's any like initial hisses or whatever, backgroundy sounds that we don't want. Then get to grips with the bass, lay that down. Depending on the song, normally that doesn't take me too long. Obviously, some more than others. But I can usually get the initial shape of it sort of within about 30, 40 minutes, and then it's perfecting it and playing around with it a bit. And then once we've done that, I'll bounce that back to you, and I just to give you an initial idea. I think most of the time you like it, so you haven't come back to me too many times saying, no, Dan, your bass is absolute bollocks. Do it again. Thankfully, I'm sure it will come at some point. Yeah, and then so once we're happy with it, then obviously on my side, I'll lay down synths. So I've got a little let's put it up here. This little glorious gadget, the Arturia. So this is brilliant, and it comes with so many different sound effects and things like that. So obviously the actual synth itself, I'm no pianist, so I'll just be pretty much going off the root notes. So that's the easy bit usually, but then it's finding the right sound that fits the sort of tone of the album of the song. Sorry, my battery is flashing up, so distracted me. Yeah, it's getting the right mood for that, and violins and cellos are always good to bring out the emotion, but then you don't want to overuse that, so it's trying to mix it up between songs as well. And it does make a big difference, doesn't it, between the initial recording, then having the bass, and then once you get the synths on, the whole songs just seem to come to life and just feel a lot bigger. than the first recording, as you'd expect. But it does make quite a big boost, doesn't it?
Oh, it elevates
So
it massively. Yeah, I know when with the first lot that did. Again, I do like them, but just because they are, it's just me playing bass. I'm not a bass player at all. Majority of them are just literally just root notes. Because there's no synth or anything like that, or violins. They're all right, but you do notice a massive difference when it comes to these certain songs in particular. Like, wow, that really does elevate it. But like you say, it's making sure you don't, or this toy's there, you don't want to overuse it and put on everything, and all of a sudden it's overproduced or it's a bit too much, and then every song does sound really similar. So it's a fine balance to do, particularly when, like I say, this one there's 13 songs, which is probably just about right to an album.
Yeah, and I'm always, like you say, you don't want to overproduce it, and you also don't want to change the song too much. From you want it to sound bigger and have a bit more depth, but then you don't want it to sound like a completely different song most of the time. So it's getting that balance as well. And then just to finish off the process, once I've done that, again, I'll send it to you. We'll sort of chat about any final changes. Getting the mix of the sound is really difficult as well, because when you're listening to it through Cakewalk, through your headphones, the levels can sound perfect. And then when you export that and listen to it separately on a laptop or through different speakers, suddenly you notice things that you didn't before, and it doesn't always sound sort of as you thought it did through your headphones through Cakewalk. So then sometimes you have to go back and redo that. And the final bit is the mastering. I don't know Cakewalk mastering at all. I know there's loads of tools for it, so I cheat. Shout out to BandLab Mastering. It's amazing, and you'll pop it in. You think it sounds pretty good already, and then it goes through the mastering process, and it just really brings everything up. So that's kind of the final part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then do that 13 times, and you've got an album.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. Did you want to talk through like each song a little bit? Good place to talk through. So 13 songs, all with that kind of, or mainly with that kind of nostalgic youth, looking back, kind of some regret and some looking forward, definitely, particularly towards the end, I think. So the first song on the album is Crossroads. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I think that was kind of what shaped. It's why it's number one, isn't it? It kind of really does shape the album. It's just a lot of life questions, and a lot of this is kind of personal to myself, but then realistically, it's kind of nice, almost like being an observer of someone who's in like your mid to late 30s, like I am. So a lot of that is like, crossroads. Staring at crossroads, you get to a certain age, or what do we? Life choices in it. What do you kind of do? And there's a lot of people who are so set on everything they want, and they've got it all planned out, and it all kind of works out. There's some people who haven't got a clue, and then there's that kind of in between. So I probably more fit the in between phase of that. So it's kind of really about that, really, without going into too much depth of it. It's like, okay, what is next? What should we do? What's the right decision for us or for any couple, really? So it kind of stems from that. And it was just a nice little chilled song, nice little solo. I thought it was quite a nice little chorus. But then obviously I kind of gave it to you, and you've kind of changed it massively with the keyboard and the synth to raise it, to change the complete sort of complexion of how it was.
You're welcome. No, I think it's a great song, and I agree. It's a really good opener of a song for the album. I think it sets the tone, definitely. You don't want to start. Well, I suppose some people do, but I don't think we wanted to start the album on a maudlin kind of somber note. I think it needs to be like, the sound of it is uplifting, but the lyrics are like straight away quite introspective, aren't they, which gives you a bit of a flavor of what the album's going to be like. And I think, like you say, for anyone, I say our age, but I know you're going to come back with a comment because I'm a few years older than Rich, but it's when you get late 30s, early 40s, shall we say, you do start reflecting, because you've lived a fair bit of life. There's quite a lot to look back on, and it's kind of like like you said earlier, it's like, well, I've got pretty much, if not all the things that I was hoping I would have as a kid or a teenager, but you're all still always going to have regrets, and there's always going to be if buts and maybes, and like, what now? And am I actually on the right path? So I think, yeah, I think it's a kind of the perfect song to start it.
And kind of on that, sorry to interject, I think what's quite nice, because if you're talking about that out loud, it might sound like it's a bit of a sad song or a bit of a dampener, like, oh, everything's a bit uncertain, or not everything's not uncertain, but it might appear that way. But I think because of the tone of it and how the synth sets it, and actually it's quite a positive song. Like, everyone will feel that, just some people won't admit it, or won't speak up about it or whatever else. So it's a positive song. Just because you're not a bit unsure doesn't mean it's a bad thing or whatever else. So you are looking back, it's a bad thing. So I think it's a positive start, and I think the album is overall, it is quite a positive, uplifting album. But obviously some of the lyrics could be taken in one of two ways. So I think it's quite nice. I quite like the contrast actually of what the music does for the lyrics.
Definitely. Which leads us nicely on to the second one, Devil's on My Doorstep. Tell us about that then.
Yeah, you can't really start the album with that. It's a bit of a darker one. But yeah, what is it? One of the darkest ones, I guess. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean to be. It's just everyone's got that devil on the shoulder, haven't they? And it occasionally comes out now and then. For me, like most, maybe got into awful habits over COVID, where you might have that extra drink at home that you wouldn't normally have because you've got a routine, but obviously all that went out the window. So it might just be, I'll have that one glass of whiskey at 12:30 that I don't really need, type thing. And
12:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, yeah, probably, yeah. And you might end up overthinking, really. And I'd say I'm more of an overthinker than I'm an underthinker. I'm not like a massive overthinker, but I'm definitely more of that ilk. And I think it's kind of just admitting that, okay, that guy's there, but there's only certain mindsets that will kind of bring him out. And again, everyone's got one. Just this one, he tends to pop up now and then when I might have had that extra drink and I'm on my own, which is definitely kind of what it's about.
I could definitely relate to it, and I think a lot of people, if they heard it, hopefully enjoy the music, but if they, really honed in on the lyrics, would probably, identify with it. We've all been there at some point, haven't we? With, like you say, a little devil on our shoulder. We've all got our, darker or more vulnerable side, or whatever you want to call it. So, but again, I like it because it is darker in tone as well, but the music's still relatively upbeat. I know that's one of the songs that you're probably still less happy with. I think there's some where you're like, oh, I love that, or that turned out way better than I kind of originally imagined. I think that's one that between us, we couldn't quite get how we wanted it, but we got it as close enough to be like, yeah, we're happy with that. But
well, yeah, I think I really like the well, I like the song. I like the verse is really good. It's quite haunting. The really high pitched vocals. That's kind of the music complements that is really good. There was just something maybe through the chorus. I don't quite know what it was. Like, it felt like the chorus just kind of, it appears when there might have been more of a delay. Bits are, but then you try something different and that doesn't quite work. So sometimes there's just a bit of an admittance. You know what? It's a good song, but there's always going to be songs that you are a bit, oh well, could have done this, could have done that, and eventually you're like, well, you know what? After a while, it's just got to. That's it now. I can't overthink it and overcomplicate it too much, because you end up, like tweaking it too much, and all of a sudden you've undone what was already there and made it much worse or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there is that fine line, like you say, taking your time and getting it to where you want it to be. But you can think, as musicians, as much as anything, you can keep tweaking and keep changing, and then you go away from actually what made it good. You don't want it to sound too overproduced or too perfect. Some imperfections, or maybe not quite as you imagined it, aren't always necessarily a bad thing, I think. And it's knowing when to go, right, actually box that off. We're happy enough with that. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of it with that one. And not every song is going to be boom, wow. A lot of the better songs always are. I know Noel Gallagher's always said, if I'm trying, and then I put the guitar down because it's just clearly not happening, the best songs usually do just fall out of the sky. which
Yeah.
I do get that. You do know when you're on a roll, and like they shouldn't. Some good songs can take hours and days, you know, sometimes months and years to master. I personally like the ones that just boom there, and I don't like to overcomplicate or overthink about it too much, because, like you say, I think you might undo what is.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think if you're having to work too hard to make a song, quote unquote, brilliant, you know, as amazing as you could, actually, sometimes that tells you something that maybe like what Noel Gallagher was saying. It's not really what you're trying to add too many embellishments, because actually the song underneath maybe isn't as strong as some of the other ones potentially. But I really like Devil's on My Doorstep. But yeah, I know that was one where we kind of went back and forth quite a bit, didn't we? Nostalgia's Youth, the main title track.
Yeah, I think that was the last one I wrote for it. I think, and yeah, it kind of encapsulates everything. It's like it was just coming back of literally being at a certain age, kind of repeating myself to an extent. I won't go into too much depth, but yeah, being at a certain age, really, really happy. But should I do this? Should I do that? What's kind of next? And I think I was thinking about this earlier. The thing that kind of really sums it up for me. Obviously, like Only Fools and Horses, it's the episode where Dan and Rodney win the whatever it is off the watch, 6 million or something like that. And I remember there's a scene, I'm watching it as a kid, there's a scene where Del Boy's on the phone to Monkey Harris, or I think it's Monkey Harris anyway, and he's trying to sell stuff, and Uncle Albert and Rodney like, you don't need to do that. And I was watching it like, yeah, of course you don't need to do that, Dale. You've got all this money. Yeah. But he's like, but it's a realization that chapter has ended, that journey type thing that you've been trying to get to for all this time has ended, and there's almost a bit of, you know, mourning and grief in a weird way over that. Not because you're really unhappy, like I say, I'm incredibly happy. And if you'd have told me 10 years ago or when I was a kid, this is how your life's going to turn out, I'd be like, oh God, yeah, I'll take that and everything. That's everything I want. But when a certain chapter in your life does end, it's like you naturally do look back and whatnot. Yeah. So that's kind of what it's about, and I think that's just come out really, really well. I think it might have been my dad who was listening to a couple of the other older songs and said to me, "Oh, you could do a really pushing your voice a bit more. Don't play it safe." And I thought, okay, that one is a lot higher, and my voice does go high. Yeah. It's right at my limits, that the chorus, but no, it's come out really nice. I love that song. I think it's great. I think it's a great song, and I think it just the music and the lyrics and the tone of it, I think, go hand in hand.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like for me, you know, again, like settled, you know, great job, wife, love child, all of that. But I still look back on, say, my uni days because they were just such a great time in my life. And you're never going to get that back. Like, it's a good analogy with the Dale Boy thing. Like, that chapter is gone, but you can still look back on it like fondly. You're never going to recreate it, but you can still be wistful a bit of, you know, what you had then, even if you're super happy now, I think. So, yeah. It's resonated with me then, track 4. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
It's resonated with me, yeah. So it's kind of that was one of the later ones as well. I really, really like this song. I played it a couple of open mics actually. It's just one that's probably one of my favourites, I'd say. The opening lyrics I really like. It was a day where I just didn't feel amazing. It's like, today I feel down, but the benefit of this is, well, I know tomorrow actually that will be better. And my mindset is always, I'm a glass half full person. And it was just that was kind of not coming to terms. It sounds a bit really negative, but it's nothing bad. But kind of coming, okay, that part has gone. But actually, that was great. Like, I've got so many great memories to look back on. And the chorus of, like, when you are that age, you kind of think it's like, I thought it would last forever, drinking beers in sunny weather. Like, you just do. There's no concept of time, is there, when you're young? And everything seems like it's going to last forever. And yeah, the older you get, obviously it just doesn't, like, which is fine. You know, people move on, they have kids, they move out of the area or move further away, and that's just how life goes. But it just resonated. You know what? Yeah, but you've had all these great memories, which are amazing, and you'll have loads more to look forward to. Actually, like, just enjoy it, and that's kind of what the song is about.
I was going to make a joke and say it's turning into a bit of a therapy session, but I think there's a truth in it. with songs, and I found that. So when I write lyrics, and people always say, write a diary or write down how you're feeling. I'm not that kind of a guy, but I've found with lyrics, it does help you to kind of reflect and crystallize things, and actually just getting it down, and creating a song from it is quite cathartic. So when it comes together, it feels like you've looked at that chapter and you've kind of dealt with it in a weird way. Does that make sense?
Oh, massively, yeah. There's a song we'll talk about. There's a song later which resonates, ironically, no pun intended, a lot more with me for that than this one. But no, completely. You write something down, and it is you're getting rid of that emotion without realizing you're getting rid of it, which a lot of people, particularly blokes, unless they've had a number of pints, aren't the best at communicating a lot of the time. So sometimes if that is the case, I've always found it, because I've written from such an early age, I've never really cared about that. I'm more than happy to. I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. And I like writing. I love that process of when you are feeling a bit down or happy or whatever, just you get that down, and it allows you to, whatever you're going through, kind of help.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then the next one, spotting a theme here, tortured genius. This is at your lowest ebb, perhaps.
There's not much to this song, really. I heard I can't remember what it was. I heard that phrase somewhere. I was just mindlessly watching telly and somebody said it, and occasionally, I like that. I'll nick that and I'll do something with it. So it's not necessarily about me, but it's about how some people feel. Like when you are an overthinker, what's the lyric, isn't there? I'm always thinking, I'm never letting go of my past, not my future. Yeah, so it kind of does tie back into that theme. But it's kind of about being that those people you do see as being defined as geniuses are a bit more like tortured than people who aren't. And linking back to like sitcoms and stuff, I was watching the In-Betweeners film the other day, and there's a scene in it where Will, the intelligent one of the group, is really sad. He's sitting by the pool, and then Neil comes out, the thicko. And Will's like, "You're always happy," and he's like, "Well, yes. What was it? As soon as I realised that God was dog spelled backwards, what is there to get up?" So something on the lines of that. And I'm like, he's so happy, and because he just doesn't think about anything.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. So that's kind of the opposite way around of that, really, and it's just torturing yourself and overthinking something that, realistically, a lot of the time you've got no control over. That's the worst part of overthinking, isn't it? So that's more of a song I can resonate with to an extent, but that's more of an observer, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. So you'd say that's more, because I think one thing in your lyrics is it is very personal, this album, isn't it? In terms of you drawing on a lot of your own experiences or reflections, but this one's a little bit more. You heard that phrase, tortured genius, and so you can think a little bit about yourself, but how other people might feel as well, and kind of channel it through what we're trying to channel the ideas through other people, how they might be feeling.
And and I think again, it's one that I think has come out quite well, what you've done to it. That's what's quite nice about the process. I've got a rough idea in my head of how I think it might sound. And then obviously you've then taken it away, and particularly the intro, it's just like that sort of sliding synth type thing, where it's kind of like the song's kind of pulling it. If that makes any sense.
It does.
Definitely in a positive way. And I didn't really think it might sound like whatever, but it kind of takes it to a different place. I think that's another one that's come out quite well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm trying to think of my bass line and the synth for it. It's been a little while since I listened to the album. I'm looking forward to hearing it in full when it does come out. But yeah, some songs didn't take very long, and some we deliberately didn't overproduce, like Red Guitar, which we'll get onto. I think we decided, no, we don't need any synths. It's about a guitar and it's about the joy of music. So I think we kept that quite light, whereas the other ones are more sort of heavily produced. And the next one, actually, I'd say is probably our most produced. Someone Else.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, it didn't start being called Someone Else, did it?
No,
although I can't remember what it was called.
it was called Reflection.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Again, it's one of those where there's elements which I'll resonate with a little bit. Like it's not necessarily a song about me and my life. It's more of a bit of an observer. I think I was writing it in around the time I was getting married, or just after getting married or whatever, which is, you know, amazing, great time. It's also quite like finite and all that type of stuff. And you feel a bit more of an adult when you're going through all that process of getting married and looking to move house and all that type of stuff, which we were doing at the time. So it was more just people of my age, what was I, 32, 33, something like that. And it's just asking yourself a lot of those questions, or what is next, kind of tie into Crossroads, but more asking those questions. So, you know, the things of which a lot of people might feel like, am I ready to be a dad? Do I want what my family had? Or should I have done more in my teenage years? And then you constantly compare to other people's lives. And we live in such a social media based world. And you're like, that's right, it kind of links, that's what we probably settled on. Someone else felt a bit more an accurate title, I think. And I do say it about 1 million times in the bloody song anyway, so it probably made more sense.
And I think when I produced it and sort of added a few effects, I put like quite a good resonation on your voice when you're singing someone else, which kind of brought it more to the foreground. And I think obviously you'd sung it a lot, but with that as well, it came across really clearly through that song, and I think it fit better in a way. Like Reflection's a good name for a song, but I think Someone Else fits it better because that kind of becomes a central part of the song in the end. But it's probably one of my favourites on the album from a selfish point of view, because I really enjoyed producing that. You kind of gave me a little bit of carte blanche on that, didn't you? And said, I want it to sound a little bit different and a bit. Was it an Oasis song?
It was like Falling Down, similar.
Yeah, like very loosely. But
that's
that kind of feel. So
it's come out, and it's come out. I'd agree. It's probably one of my. I look back, well, would that have been a better single? Maybe, I don't know. Like, but it is so different. But it's come out really, really well. I mean, like, again, I think the music kind of supports the lyrics again, and it's a bit just kind of. Yeah, I don't know, spacey, for want of a better term. But yeah, it's just so different, and I love the in between, like the verses, how the bass sounds, because I've got a little guitar riff going through. It's just 2 notes, but then the bass it's a bit more funky and kind of drags it along, but like it supports it bouncier, and it's just got a really cool flow. It's got a lot of space in it, so there's certain things that can dip in and out, and it kind of takes you on a bit of a journey.
And I think that was one of the latest. I don't know if it was the last, but it's one of the later ones that we did. And like for me, I can tell the difference between some of the ones I did earlier. I got I knew more what I was doing with the producing. I was happier to do more layers and things like that. So it was a really nice song to sort of be able to do that and have a bit of free reins to kind of try and make it sound a bit different and a bit bigger, maybe, to some of the other more intimate songs. So, no,
I agree.
I enjoyed it. And then that track 7 is In a Dream, which again sounds quite big, I think, on the album. I quite like this spacey sound of it.
I think because this kind of starts the second part of the album. Like it kind of, Someone Else kind of ends that, you know, first part, and this goes into the second one. This is one of those. It's a load of nonsense. This song. It was just. But then you maybe look at it a bit more introspective, and it does kind of tie in a weird way. Like the idea of dreaming, that does link back to what the album's kind of about. But it was one of those. I overslept a little bit, dozed or whatever it was, and when you wake yourself up from a dream and you really think it's real, you're like, oh God, and it takes your body a while to adjust. So that's kind of what it was, really, and it was nothing. It was one of the recent ones that I wrote, and it's just the same 4 chords the way through. And I was like, I wonder what it would sound like. Have a bit of fun with it, and then I suppose for you, you said that's more of a challenge because there's no how do I make the verse sound different from the chorus. But I thought the bass line particularly, that's one of my favourite bass lines that you do, the intro of it and how it kind of bounces.
Yeah, it's one of mine, I think, on that. Yeah, and that's it. I quite like that. Like throw down the gauntlet. It's a bit of a challenge because, like you say, when like structurally it's a bit more simple, like same four chords all the way through. It's then like my challenge to try and make the verse and the chorus sound different, other than obviously just the lyrics or the way you might be singing it. So one of the most obvious ways is to obviously mix the bass line up, and then start changing the synths and building it up in the chorus. But yeah, I remember you saying you felt like it was a bit more of a throwaway song, and like, oh, we'll see how it lands, kind of thing. And I think it came together well. I was really pleased with how it sounded in the end. So.
Yeah, no, it did. I think it's quite. It's more of a rocky driving song, which there's a few on here, but a lot of them are kind of maybe synth driven in the end, or acoustic guitar driven. But then I like this one, and there's a few others where it has more that rockier feel, which an album always needs anyway.
Yeah, and I think about halfway through the album was the perfect point for that. Like you say, almost like that turning point in the album. Yeah. Almost like on an old record player, you'd have had the first 6 songs, wouldn't you? And then you'd flip over, and that'd be the start of the second side, kicking everything off. So. And then a much more like stripped back, but I think really good song, Red Guitar, is track 8.
Yeah, that was. I was just sitting around and looked at my guitar, and I was like, "Oh, I've never really written a song about my guitar," and it's quite nice. It kind of ties in like to nice memories, like they alluded to earlier. Like Dad got his first guitar when he was like 44, 45, something like that. Fender Square in the house. I thought, well, I'll play it, and then as my dad, his ever-growing guitar collection kind of he adds to. I've actually got, maybe he's passed down 1 or 2 or whatever. So it's kind of like that nice little time between me and my dad, which I like. And obviously, shout out to the band at arm's length, because we're in the same band and stuff. That we've kind of got that really nice connection, which is really good. So it is kind of like that. Like, oh wow, I've got this thing in my hand. What do I do with it? And linking back to the therapy part, that's where I think this ties in really well. Like that's what the guitar has done for me, I suppose, without really realizing. When you are a bit down, you might write a song or whatever else. I particularly, maybe in earlier parts of my life, not at all now, but when I've needed, I've been on my own a lot, or I've needed, to get my emotions out, but I've got no one to talk to, or whatever else it might be. Or I have got as daft as it sounds, I've got my guitar as a bit of a, I think there's a lyric somewhere about being a best friend, which it is without realizing. So that's kind of what the song is to me. It's just a nice, laid back, chilled. I like the high notes in between the choruses. I think are quite good, which I was quite happy with myself with. And yeah, again, it's something that's just come out quite well. It's just a nice. It kind of, I feel like maybe After in a Dream, which is quite full on and in your face, but it's quite I can chill out a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really nice that whilst it is about your guitar and like being able to turn to it, there's that link, like you say, with your dad, and I think that makes a really nice kind of connection as part of the like bigger theme of reflecting on where you are in life and things like that, and thinking about your dad in that case, and that kind of link between the two of you.
Yeah, that's a nice little song.
Yeah. And then With Each Other, which I don't think we probably shouldn't say this about our own album. I don't think you're a huge fan of, or one of the ones that is maybe one of your least favourites on the album. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a brilliant song. Like lyrically, it's really hard, I think, to write a love song, because when you're trying to write a song, you want some jeopardy, you want something going wrong, don't you? Like a story, because if you don't have a problem, then like a story, what is there to tell? So whenever I've tried to write a love song, I always end up making it dark or something, not even meaning to, but just to try and make some kind of story or something. And so I just think it's a really nice lyrically, really quite sentimental song, but not cliched. I think it's just a nice, straightforward love song.
No, I think that's a nice way of putting it. It's not cliched. It's not lyrically. It's really obvious. It's not like there's certain things where you can really read into lyrics. There's nothing really to read into with the song. It is just a bit of a nod to my wife, of just singing our praises, really. Because, like you say, I find it hard. It's difficult to write happy songs. Like, you don't naturally go to a guitar and want to write when you are happy. You don't tie it into reggaeton. You don't need to, because you feel great.
You can see why Coldplay was so miserable for most of their career. It's a lot easier.
And Radiohead, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was again just a bit of a throwaway, because that's the same 4 chords all the way through again, and it is quite high, but it is just I can't think of the lyrics off the top of my head. You don't mind, you were so kind. We just went along with your smile, made it worthwhile, and we're happy with each other, and that's all we. When you strip everything back, that's all you really. Yes, you obviously want other things around you, but a happy home life, counts for everything. And that's what we've got. So it's just a nice little strip back. And yeah, when we were talking about it, it's not I don't like the song. I think because it is just that it reminds me a little bit. I'm not comparing myself to the Red Hot Chili Peppers at all. But there's a song on Red Hot Chili Peppers, my favorite album of all time, Californication. There's a song called Porcelain on it, which it's just 2 minutes. It's just almost like synth and him singing, but it's just a nice, again, a bit of a breath. And each album does need one of them, like a song you can just listen to, and it's not offensive, it's not in your face, or it's simple, and that's what it is. And I did the little on the chorus. There's these triad things, which my dad always tells me to put in, because it does make a difference, which were nice, and that elevates it a little bit. And then you put the synth in. There was the conversation about, does it need drums or not, in the chorus, and I think you're still probably thinking you prefer it without drums. I think I prefer it with drums to break it up, but I agree with you. It's a nice song. It's not like this is going to be.
It's one of those that I think you could have stripped back. Like there's some where obviously you take the drums out, it'll stop the momentum. Whereas with that, you could imagine it as a I don't know, live lounge song, couldn't you? Like just you on a guitar, that kind of thing. So I think that would have worked. But I also, I quite like the idea, but I get why you didn't. I think it could have worked really well right at the end of the album. And I know, which I'm sure you'll talk about, like you wanted, I believe, to be like the big crescendo, which works really well. But I thought with each other could have almost worked as a little bit of a coda, like a bookend to Crossroads, where you're like, what direction do I go? And then at the end, it's like, well, it's all fine, it's all sorted.
You could flip. You can flip them right. You could flip them round almost, because it's a nice little. It almost symbolises, oh my god, like what's going on. But asking these questions, then you're like, oh, everything is all right, and it's just a nice, calm way to finish. Yeah, I get your point, and that was probably the main thing we deliberated over, and the fact that it sounds very similar to another song later on. Anyway, it's hard. It was hard. That was probably the hardest to place, actually. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
You could have argued either way. I like it where it is. I've always been I quite like a bigger song at the end, whether that's listen to Morning Glory, Champagne Supernova, or another song. Another album, Rocket Queen, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. I do quite like a big song at the end as opposed to a chilled one. That's my taste, though. That it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I totally get with I Believe, because it does kind of build up to that, and that sums everything up, and it ends on quite a big note. And the danger is if you have a slower song to end, it could not anticlimactic, but it can feel a bit like drab, and you're like, oh, okay, that's the end of the album. Whereas if it ends on a big strong note, you'd hope people would want to then go, right, I'll go back to the start now. Now I've heard it once and listen through again, that kind of thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's one way of looking at it, but it is subjective, isn't it? So
yeah, well, definitely so. Back to the 60s.
I suppose the most recent single, I guess. Again, this I thought was a throwaway. But lyrically, initially when I wrote it, I thought this is pants. But then I wrote that the main riff that goes all the way through it, and personally I love it. I think it's so catchy, and your bass line really mimics that. That drives the song. But then again, it's got that once the riff came about, I was like, oh, actually, you change your opinion on a song. And I literally was watching Glastonbury, and I think Dua Lipa was headlining, and fine, she's not my bag. was like, God, is this what it is? Is this what Glastonbury headliner is now? This,
Yeah.
This one woman show with, you couldn't tell who's in the band. They're all in the backgrounds, and it's all about her. I'm like, God, if you're a kid, what band is there to get behind?
That's it. It's the absence of the bands, isn't it? And again, the usual. I've read about it, and I can't remember the exact stats, but there's barely been any bands that have broken into like the top 10 properly in past 5-6 years at least. And it's that real absence. Like, yes, there's loads of great music around, but actually, to have a band that a lot of people kind of get behind seems to have kind of really dwindled, doesn't it? And you think back to like the classic Glastonburys and Woodstocks, and it's all about, all right, yes, you got your solo artists, whatever, but it's really all about the bands, and that's definitely missing. I think for me with that one, it was trying to get a little bit of the flavour of like the 60s or early 70s. So I was playing around with like organy sounds and things like that to try and just fit with the lyrics a little bit, I suppose, and again make it sound a little bit different to some of the other stuff. So I think it came out well.
No, the claps on it are good. I like that. And then that's like 60s-ish, isn't it? There's been all the old documentaries. I think the Stones making Sympathy for the Devil and stuff. They're all like clapping into that and whatever else, and the female backing vocals as well on the chorus. Again, I referenced the Stones. Obviously, that's I suppose it's the main part of the song back to the 60s with the Stones. I was more of a Stones guy than a Beatles guy. So it kind of encapsulates that quite well. And obviously Stones are known for having quite big female backing vocals like Gimme Shelter and, stuff like that. So I quite like that the feel of it, because it was just thinking, going into it more lyrically with the chorus, when there isn't anything, there's no bands anymore. When you think of like the generation what they're listening to now, Oasis are probably the biggest band for young people, which on one hand is amazing. We saw them and it was the best gig I've been to.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Same.
But two blokes, two millionaires in their 50s shouldn't be banned for 15-year-old kids who are trying to find their way in life and trying to find something to get behind. But there hasn't been, in my opinion, or a narrow-minded opinion probably, a wave of bands since probably the early noughties where you had indie with Killers, Franz Ferdinand, Kaiser Chiefs. Arctic Monkeys was the one I really remember. That was the album that everyone was passing around, and you really
absolutely
related to, for me anyway, I really related to it. It was when I was just starting to go out, and a lot of it is all about getting drunk, meeting girls, and all the stupid things you'll get into.
The early stuff, definitely.
Not so much now. Yeah. But there's nothing. I think if you're a young lad or young girl, and what is there to listen to? And you linking back to chorus again, like when there's no mobile phones, when you do go to a gig now as well, you just see the youth get a lot of blame for it, but I think adults are equally as appalling. Just watching it through the phone, I'm like, you're never going to watch that again. Yeah, you get the odd picture and stuff like that, but be present. And that's one of my favourite things at the Oasis gig. I'm not afraid to admit that I bawled my eyes out about 3 times because there was a load of people singing Half the World Away or That's No Shadow. It was amazing. Like everyone was together rather than. That's how music's changed, I suppose, as well. People haven't got an attention span anymore. People listen to songs for about 2 or 3 minutes, done, and that's kind of it. So it's just a bit like things could be. I'm rambling a lot. It just pisses me off. But things that. It could be a lot better music-wise. It's just kind of just take me back. It would have been amazing years ago, and it's just crap.
Yeah, definitely. And I think on the album, it's a nice break from a lot of the introspective stuff. It's obviously it's still reflecting on something, the music scene and bands and all of that, but it's less like personal about personal life choices or things like that, isn't it? So I think it's like it's well placed where it is in the album, sort of, get towards the end of it, and a little bit of fun, but again with some meaning behind the lyrics. So yeah. Then it's the key.
Yeah, I'm just slating the album. But it's an odd one, the key. I think this is. I shouldn't say my least favourite. I like it. It's just I don't know what it is. It's just in a weird way it fits quite well because I find it a bit like chaotic. it's quite loose, if that makes any sense, in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I think the way I did it with the intro, it's just an electric guitar building and building, and it feels very kind of like arcadey, if that makes any sense. Like it's just there's a lot going on, and you kind of don't know what you're listening to, which I think is good. Like it's a decent enough song, maybe because my songwriting is so very much excuse me, I'm making a racket, very much acoustic rock ballad type thing. It's different to that, which I probably need to get my head around to a little bit more. Not every song can be rock ballad, big chorus type thing. So I think it's just a nice, fun song with, again, nice meanings behind the lyrics. Ultimately we need people that we love, which is kind of taking on that other journey on the album. It's kind of the lead into where it is. But yeah, it's just a fun song.
That's a great lyric, because when you send me the songs, I don't necessarily have the lyrics. So when I'm first listening, and we've both got a friend called Lee, haven't we? And I initially heard it as "Old Take Me to Lee," and I was like, "Wow, he's written this beautiful song towards one of our friends." Yeah. And then when you said no, ultimately, I was like, "Of course,
I like Lee, but
it made me laugh.
Write a song about him. No offense, mate.
Maybe for album 2. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's the last 2 songs on the album. So Without You, which I'm sure you've got a few things to say.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of was the one where it went from sending you a song or whatever, and just have fun with it, but because of the tone of it, which we'll get into, but even the little piano part at the start, it's like, oh wow, that really encapsulates. So yeah, no, it is a song which everyone can relate to, a song like grief. So it was more written towards my granny, who I lost when I was 18. When you're a bit younger, I was 18, and she was 65, which when you're younger, you're like, oh god, 65, god, that's well old, and you're like, okay, she's my granny, so yeah, it's horrible, but she was older. But then the older you get, you're like, oh my god, 65, that's nothing. Yeah. So I was just comparing a picture of her it's in my sort of music study type thing, and that just kind of came to me, like, god, all the things that she's missed. Like she'd still in her 80s, like she still should be alive, really. So all the things that she's missed, and god, I just love one more conversation. Who cares what it's about, So it's just that song about grief of just, I wish you were here type thing. Yeah, I love it. It's my favourite on the album by a long way. Like I say, when I sent it to you, and because it's just the same 4 chords, the whole thing. There's no real chorus. I suppose the chorus is more the outro, if anything. It's just verse, one chorus, I guess. But yeah, I think where you edited it and added stuff, it really did that's the one that does encapsulate what the song's about and the tone. I know I've sent it to my family at first, and my dad, he doesn't shy away from kind of telling me like it is sometimes. Sometimes a bit too brutal. Whatever. If it is nice, I don't mind that. But then I know my sister like, oh yeah, that's a really nice, beautiful song, and I think that did relatively well. We put that out. I got quite a few messages with that song.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good, and I think, as I said earlier, like I'm definitely not a pianist, So normally I just stick to the kind of usual synth, but I think with that it needed a little bit of piano within my capabilities, just to kind of bring out that emotion, because. Sometimes violins are well known to bring out emotion, but I think sometimes, like you say, because of the simplicity of the song, it's got a simple message, which is one of grief, and I wanted to bring that out a little bit just through that sort of repeating kind of piano. But then as it kicks in halfway through, I think that's where got more synths and the kind of song picks up, and I think. It's trying to capture that emotion, like it's this simple song, but that kind of like the power of emotion as well, as it kind of kicks in halfway through. So I was quite pleased with how that came together, and I think that was one of the first. I can't remember the order. It was within the first 6 songs maybe that we did, but I know that one was when it was done. You were like, I really like this, like, you were really pleased with sort of how it had all come together,
Yeah,
which
well,
is good because I
that was
think
the one.
with some songs where other songs that aren't about grief, basically, you're less precious. But with something like that, when you know it's genuinely really personal, you don't want to f up their song, do you? So I was like,
Yeah,
then send it to you, and you're like, what on earth have you done? This is about my granny. So I'm glad you liked it, and I was pleased with how it sounded. And I think it's really like powerful song, really.
yeah. And like I say, it's one that just because it's specific to me, anyone who's lost someone, particularly in that first few lyrics, like you can understand easily, like just one more conversation, like whatever. So yeah, no, I'm really proud of that song. It's my favourite song by a long way. It was the one I think we did Crossroads first, then we kind of left it for a bit, and that was one
Yeah,
where I think you fully invested. And I was like, oh no, this we could do something that was quite decent. It felt like anyway, and the way it really did elevate because what is just an acoustic guitar, me singing. I don't know if you redid the bass on this because initially I know the bass, but I did. I don't know if you then
I think
re-recorded
that's
it.
no. This is the only one where you said, "Oh, I want to keep your bass."
Yeah, I
So,
used two
but it
strings.
works.
I used the A
Yeah,
string, so actually it's two. I was like, oh, this sounds all right. I quite liked it, because it's simple. It's not a song that needs complications. Like, there's no guitar solo. There's no
yeah,
guitar bits or whatever. It's just build, build, build. Sim quite haunting. It sounds like sim, but it almost sounds like high high pitched vocals as well when everything
yeah.
kicks in. That's kind of what it needs, and it just I thought it was perfect. I love that song.
That's it. Yeah, and with the bass, obviously you're a guitar man by trade, so you could play the root notes fine, obviously. But I think it works really well for that. Like you say, it doesn't need to be some kind of running bass or overly complicated. Actually, just the straightforward hitting those root notes and emphasizing, the chords at the time work
Mm.
perfectly. So yeah, that's probably why I put piano on it because I was like, right, I can't put the bass, so I'll add more of my stamp on it.
Gotta do something on it, yeah.
Yeah, it got to make it worth my while. No, that was good. And then the final one on the album is indeed "I Believe." So tell us about that.
Another song where there's just the same four chords pretty much. The verse and chorus are the same. It's got a little bit of a bridge, but no, it's just. I think I wanted this one at the end just because it sends you off with hope. Like realistically, going back to the things where you do overthink and I miss this, I miss that, but then linking a bit to grief and a few things happened in the last few years of losing people a bit younger. What am I complaining about? Life's wicked, and most importantly, I've got my health. Not everyone has that. So it is kind of things are alright. It's like I believe that things are good, and it does build quite nicely. In my head, I did quite want to push myself a little bit. I'm an okay guitarist. I know my limitations. I'm more of a people might think differently once the album comes out. I'm more of a songwriter than a guitarist. They might think very differently. I feel like I'm more bass, acoustic, singing, and I can play leads. I've played lead for years, but I'm not, an amazing lead player. But I thought, no, I'll try and do something, write a big outro and just see if you
Yeah,
can do a guitar solo. So I kind of did that and had Whatever, which by Oasis in mind a little bit, just a similar chord. It's pretty much the same chords actually. No nicks from everyone, I can nick from him. So yeah, kind of did that. And I was like, okay, yeah, see how this goes. And I remember when you said you were doing it, it's one of your favourites that you were doing at the
yeah,
time.
still is definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of my favourites on there, definitely. Like I say, someone else for me with each other, and I believe I think was my like standout ones for all different reasons. But yeah, I really like the outro on that song. I think it does feel big.
Mm.
So I think you succeeded in what you're trying to do there. And I think it feels like, in fact, when you sent it to me, I said, "Oh, this feels like the last song on the album." And
Mm.
you were like, "Oh, yeah, that's my intention." So it has that kind of feel like it's built up to like a bit of a conclusion. I think it works really well. And it's important as well because it ends on a positive note, doesn't it? I
Yeah,
think.
which
Yeah.
it should do, which it kind of answers the questions in the early parts of the album, which I think you need if you're doing a bit of a lyrical concept album anyway. I think I prefer to have a bit more closed books and whatnot. It's sort of like you say, what favourite songs of. I don't know wrong. I know kind of we dug out a couple earlier, but there are natural songs that you're a bit less maybe you like them, but you're a bit less happy with the songs that you're overjoyed with. Where I believe is one of your favourite ones. I really like it. For me, it's resonated with me, and the ones that people haven't heard anyway. Someone else, I think we can both agree, it's because it's so different. They're probably like my two real big ones that I really, really like. And like I say, it's just a nice way to end the album, nice little bookends. Okay, those questions are answered and job done.
Yeah, definitely. And vocally on that song, you've actually got a bit of a runny nose at one point, haven't you? And when I heard it, and I thought maybe he's so impassioned, he's like trying and trying to hold it together. But so if you listen carefully, you will hear it. But we both heard it, and I could have got rid of it quite easily, but I think it's part of it because you don't want everything overproduced. And actually, although it's you maybe with a runny nose, it feels like more raw emotion than if it was like cut out and perfect. You couldn't hear that. That was my thinking anyway.
Well, I think it's so because that's the problem. When it's really weird when you listen to a song. So obviously I've listened to the album back a few times. It's hard in my head because I've written it. I end up singing along with it in my head rather than actually listening to it, if that makes any sense. So I can't quite, I listen to it from a completely different perspective as somebody else would. So obviously I know I didn't hear that for a while. I think until you sent it through, I was like, oh, I can hear my basically doing that. It's not I was like, oh, what do we do with that? And like you say, sometimes just leave it in. And like I say, sometimes those things are quite nice. You hear a lot of albums where there's something going on at the start, there's a conversation or something gets into the mix, and it's for a big fan, it's quite nice. You feel like it's almost like, oh, I heard it. I wonder if anyone else heard it, type thing.
Yeah, sometimes almost like a little Easter egg.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, that's the album then. So it's funny because before we started recording, we kind of said, oh, we'll make this about half an hour, and we're running at 1 hour 15 minutes, so we'll probably wrap it up in a minute. But so the album comes out on 10th of July, all streaming sites. So if you happen to see this video first, please head in that direction. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever is your platform of choice, and have a listen and send us some feedback. I think it's always nice, isn't it, as musicians, because a lot of the time you don't really know what people think, because people will listen to it, they might love it, they might hate it, but you don't really know. So it's always nice to get a little bit of feedback.
So like I say, ending it, I knowing realistically, we've got no delusions of grandeur. It's just a good project for people of our age to kind of, as a hobby to do, and it's just for us. And if, like I say, you do hope that friends and family listen to it, and if the odd person doesn't, it's perfectly fine. But it is nice when people do, oh, I like that, or even say, oh, I like this, but this bit, you could have done this. I've never minded that at all, because I'm like, oh, you listen to it and you're taking an interest, and that's always a nice thing to do. Whatnot as a mate. So it's nice when you do get positive feedback's better. But it's always nice if you do just get feedback on when you put something out there, whatever that feedback might be, even if it's just like a nice work or whatever. It's nice that people are just taking the time to listen, which by all accounts, the songs we put out so far, particularly the first couple, people got in touch. It was quite nice they did that, saying I like that or whatever else, or just saying, oh yeah, I've listened to that, good work. That's nice,
Yeah, definitely. And if you're watching this and go and have a listen, double check that you're on the correct Richard Hollis, because we have had some issues with releasing the music, which has taken a little while to iron out. But let's just say there's another Richard Hollis that looks quite dissimilar to yourself. I'm sure he's an excellent musician, but very different person, very different music. So just check his stuff out as well. But there are two Richard Hollises. Make sure you find the right one.
Yeah. I always listen to him. He sounds like he's got a couple of good songs, but it's been pointed out a couple of times that this person is also the same Richard, a different Richard Hollis with the same name. So whether we'll get that ironed out or not, but yeah, listen to him, great, but don't listen to just him. Do listen to.
No, we need the streams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose the final thing is, what are we doing now? What's our next, after this album? So did you want to just go through that?
Yeah, just keep chugging away. Like you say, it was interesting you said earlier of when you were on about someone else, or when you said you notice the later songs that you do compared to the early ones, you do naturally just get better at doing it. And that's no disservice to any part of this album or the ones that I put out earlier. But what we're currently doing is working on just more stuff, a bit of a different way. I think we've said, because with Nostalgia Youth, it is just here are 13 songs, boom, they're all out. But I think we've kind of agreed, right, maybe do about, however many, it might be 20 songs, and we might pick the best. It could be 10, it could be 14, whatever we kind of decide. And we're kind of, I don't know, maybe about, I've demoed about 8, maybe 9, maybe 10 songs, and I think you've mastered 3 and whatever. Yeah. So yeah, we'll mess around with that. I think more so over the summer we'll work on it a lot more. We've got a bit more time. I'd say more towards the end of the year, probably we'll end up putting something else out there, which I feel like a bit more not braver, but we could do this, could do that.
Yeah, I think we can take some more risks. That's it, and try and mix things up a little bit. It's still the same backbone of the songs, but yeah, a few more musical flourishes and different directions. So yeah, and like you say, we're going to take our time with it and cherry pick the ones that we're the best 10 to 14, I guess, that we're super happy with. And then the other ones will sit on OneDrive, getting dusty and never to be heard again, I guess. So
basically, yeah. But every band in the world has got hundreds of those type of songs, haven't they? So I'd rather, in all fairness, record more, because at least personally for us, we might not put them out there, but then we've still got 5 songs that we've done. And personally for me, when I've written them, even if people are listening to them, even if, I don't know, they get 100 listens or 2 listens or whatever, even if they get 0, it's still nice for me. Oh, that song I had in my head has now got something. I like that anyway, just on a personal point of view.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we keep saying we should do something live, which would be good. It's just finding the time, isn't it? And the funny thing is, with this, when we were going through some of the songs, I would have got my bass out and gone, oh, well, here's the bass line. But the funny thing is, I often don't remember them because I'll sit down and record whatever. Obviously, if I spent some time and listened back to it, I could remember it and learn it. But off the top of my head, if you said, right, play Nostalgia's Youth bass line, I literally would be staring at the bass for 5 minutes. So
yeah, when it comes to the solo, exactly the same. I believe I could not tell you what. To be honest, most of the solos haven't got a clue. The rest of it, yeah, of course I can, but it's hard as well when live wise if it is just guitar and bass. You don't, and it's not like saying everyone do a good job or anything, but you don't see many just acoustic bass combinations.
Because like I say, we don't have a drummer, and we use, I think it's Easy Drummer or some kind of drummer software. So it's quite limited in that sense. You can get drum machines, but then you've got to rework the song slightly because it's never going to be the exact same one that you did before. So it's weird, isn't it? It's like, in some ways, it's easier to do it like this than it actually is to play the music live, ironically. But at some point, it'd be nice to give it a go, even if it's just sort of 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah, open mic or something. Yeah. There's no reason why we shouldn't.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm sure. Congratulations, by the way, if you've watched this all the way through for 1 hour and 22 minutes. I feel like you should be sent a signed copy of the album. But yeah. But yeah, we should probably wrap it up. But yeah, thanks for listening, I guess, and enjoy the album. Send us your feedback, and album 2 coming sometime back into this year, early next year, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, appreciate it.
Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Right. See you later then on this.
All right.
To